graduate program in National Security and Resource Strategy at the National Defense University of Eisenhower School. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Pamela Calica, Deputy Officer Small Business Program.
Good afternoon. Oh, is it 3 people in here? So, good afternoon. Hey, that's much better. They say, as James Lloyd said, they say the best for last. They have all the information you've been waiting to hear all day. I'm sure of that. So I'm going to introduce the panel that we have here. To my left, your right, is Mr. Thaddeus Martin. He is the Associate Director for Army Materiel Command. Thaddeus, he serves as a Principal Advisor to the Commanding General, Deputy to the Commanding General, and the Executive Deputy to the Commanding General, Primary and Special Staff Officers, and all major subordinate commands, contracting centers reporting directly to Headquarters Army Materiel Command. He does it in all matters related to the Small Business Program. He implements small business policies, procedures, and instructions, including synchronizing small business program activities to ensure mission readiness across the AMC enterprise. So Thaddeus Martin. And next to Thaddeus Martin, we have Miss Liz Walker. Some of you may know her as Mud, but she's Walker now. So in case you say, Liz, I thought I knew a Liz Mud. Walker now, you still know a Liz Mud, but so Liz Mud is our, Liz Walker is our Associate Director for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. She started there in July of 2020. In this role, Ms. Walker provides leadership for the USAID Small Business Program, including advocacy and outreach for small business programs, establishment of small business policy and procedures, and oversight of approximately $22 billion in small business spend annually, $8 billion to small business prime contractors, and $15 billion to small businesses in subcontracts. Ms. Walker leads a nationwide team of small business specialists that incorporate small business solutions in support of the USAID's mission of delivering vital public and military engineering services, partnering in peace and war to strengthen our nation's security, energize the economy, and reduce risk from disasters. Next, we have Mr. Kyle Beagle. He's the Associate Director of the National Guard Bureau. Mr. Kyle Beagle, he's serving as the Chief Advisor to the National Guard on all small business related matters. He's responsible for small business acquisition policy, strategy, initiatives, and small business outreach and small business subcontracting programs. Mr. Beagle joined the National Guard Bureau in October of 2021. He has 13 years of federal service. Prior to receiving this appointment, he served as an acquisition professional at many DoD commands to include Marine Corps Systems Command, Naval Research Lab, Naval Facilities Engineering Command, UA Army Corps of Engineers, and Mission Installation Contracting Command. So, welcome, Kyle. Next to Kyle, we have Mr. Pete Hunter. Pete Hunter serves as the Associate Director of Army Medical Command. In this role, Mr. Hunter ensures effective implementation of the Army Small Business Program. Mr. Hunter and his team are responsible for Army spend and small businesses that exceed $1 million. Mr. Hunter's experience covers a number of supported programs, operations, and organizations. Mr. Hunter is a recipient of the Department of the Army Superior Civilian Service Award and 3-time recipient of the Department of the Army Commander's Award for Civil Service. A graduate of Phillips Exeter Academy, Mr. Hunter holds a Bachelor of Art degree from Vanderbilt University and a Juris Doctorate from the University of Kansas School of Law. Welcome. Next to Mr. Hunter, we have Mr. Aubrey Lavatoria. He is our newest Associate Director at our newest Army Command. Maybe not so new now, but it's still new to us. It's Army Futures Command. He is enlisted as an E1 into the military in 1996. He served 11 years on active duty before pivoting to the reserves, and he is still reserved now. So he does serve a reserve position. He spent a few years working closely with a local family-owned small business. He has been advocating for maximum practical opportunity for small businesses ever since. For over a decade, in pre-award and post-award, he is no stranger to small business importance and process. From reviewing contract documentation and subcontracting plans at various contracting activities to on-site inspections of small business subcontract performance at large business prime locations, and to the business development of over 130 small businesses in his portfolio while at the U.S. Small Business Administration. Aubrey has championed many facets of maximizing small business opportunities. So, welcome, Aubrey. So, at this time, each of them will take 3 minutes, and they will tell you what their command carries. And we'll start with Mr. Martin from Army Materiel Command.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Can you hear me? Good. Well, I think I need to review my bio. Based on everybody else. I mean, I have superstars up here now. But before I start, on behalf of our 20th Commanding General, Edward M. Davis, I just want to say thank you to the Department of Army, OSBP, Ms. Buell and her team for the invite, the opportunity to speak with the small businesses here at AUSA 2022. So AMC, our mission is simple. We deliver logistics sustainment and material readiness from the installation forward to the tactical edge. So we're actually in 95 active Army installations. We have 23 organic industrial based facilities, 3 medical logistics centers, 5 transportation brigades. We have 7 Army field support brigades, 8 contracting centers, and we're located in all 50 states in over 150 countries. So you can definitely say that AMC has a strong presence in sustaining the force for multi-domain operations. Just our top 5 next codes, I know that's something that a lot of our small businesses like to know. So I'll give them to you right now. The first one is 325412. The next one is 541712, 541330, 541715, and 561210. So we like to say if a soldier shoots it, drives it, flies it, eats it, wears it, or communicates with it, AMC buys it. So that's a little bit about AMC. Once again, like Ms. Callaghan said, I'm Danny Smart, so I serve as the principal advisor to our 4-star Commanding General and the top 6 there, to include all of the senior leadership across our 10 major supporting commands. So thank you and welcome.
Thanks, well, ma'am, like, what is there left? Now that, like, Thaddeus is gone. Oh my God, wait, I know. We can build buildings. When there are natural disasters, there's this agency I know that might also be located in all 50 states. So I'm Liz from the Corps, and I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with what we do, but kind of just to give you a rundown. So obviously civil works and military construction are a top mission of ours, as well as engineering. And a cool thing about us that makes us unique, I kind of feel like a small business, I mean, like, what makes me unique, is that we do a lot of missions in support of other agencies. So we are a fee-for-service organization, meaning, for example, FEMA will come to us when they need something built, or the VA will come to us as well. So we are doing work on behalf of a lot of other agencies. When you're looking to do work with us, we have 43 districts that are located across the U.S., each one of those has a small business professional there, so one of us is ready to meet with you. And I think throughout the day, you've heard a lot of good feedback of how you can utilize that resource, so just wanna let you know that, we have them there at all the locations, just like everyone else does here, that are there to kind of be your resource. We also have 4 centers of excellence, and I throw this out there because sometimes they get overlooked. So if you're looking for things like professional services, where are we doing innovation? You might think, well, how can you do innovation in construction? We have like a concrete lab that is looking at how can we make concrete better in the future, things like that. How can we look at railroads and help build those and bring innovation to them? So if you do SIBRs, we can hook you up with our Engineering Research and Development Center. Huntsville, I'm sure if you guys do business with us, that's one of our main hubs that has over 40 programs that they deploy there as well. So just wanted to give you guys a little highlight that there are opportunities for everyone at the core, whether that be a prime or subcontract.
We get over those. All right. So I'm Kyle Beagle. I'm Director of Small Business Program for National Guard Bureau. National Guard Bureau is unique in and of itself because I'm probably the only person up here funded by the Air Force versus the Army. But nonetheless, we are a joint org where we have Air, Army, and maybe some quasi-space things depending on how all that plays out. But so our main focus is we do a lot of service, we do a lot of training support. We are divided, we have an office in every one of the 50 states and 4 territories. So we are across the entire country, to include our territories of Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam, and the American Samoa as well. So we do span the globe. We also are involved. We also do have our own little innovation piece. We have an innovation branch out in Tucson, Arizona, which helps with a lot of SIBR Phase 3's integration into the National Guard. A lot of our buys are commercial off-the-shelf items when it comes to supply type stuff, or commercial off-the-shelf services. However, we do have our own ways of doing stuff, and we are also involved in a lot of the disaster relief, not necessarily in building stuff like Liz is over here, but we do provide the support such as medical support or team members to help out and manage the logistics of a disaster environment. We do have a small construction footprint, but it's mainly just readiness centers and various things like that as well. So those are kind of our areas out there. And kind of how we operate, we have 108 contracting shops across the country. So, a lot of opportunities out there, a lot of small business spend. We spent roughly, I think we spent 80% of our dollars on small business this past fiscal year. So a lot of opportunities out there. So, any questions you have, feel free to reach out to me or any of the 54 states and territories. We do have a part-time small business official. If you need to get a hold of them, just let me know and we'll let you know.
Thanks to Hope. These people to my right do a lot of important things, and we do too at Army Medical Command. If you were here yesterday for the 2:30 to 4:30, you heard our Commanding General, Lieutenant General Dingle, talk about Army medicine in terms of the 5 R's, and I have to write them down because I get them confused or I get them out of order, so forgive me. But we're ready. That is the center. Soldier is at the center of our readiness, and something that's important, somebody who's important to what we do. If I think about the people here with me, I might think of Army Materiel Command as the things. I might think of the Corps of Engineers as property, real property, and alterations to it. I might think about us in terms of soldiers and our commitment to them. Okay, and that makes us a bit different and a bit more focused on some of the touchy-feely things about the Army. We're concerned about the environment. We're concerned about the places where our soldiers live. We're concerned about healthy environments. We're concerned about getting upstream from what might be called dangerous behaviors. These are all very, very important to us. We're reformed. 2017 NDAA came along and changed the military health system, and that was a Pete's idea or our generals, but it was mandated by law, And so we're gonna be different going forward than we were before, with significant pieces of our portfolio from the past no longer with us, and with a significant portfolio that we'll be picking up. So I can't look to the past. I've been here since 2015. I can't look to the past for our spend about what we might be able to buy, because I expect this year, fiscal year 23, to be significantly different in terms of the composition of our spend. We're reorganized, that is to say that with the MHS transformation, we ourselves have had to go and reconfigure the command in order to meet the needs of our soldiers. We're responsive and we're relevant. And these are the five R's. We provide tailored and expeditionary medical support to our soldiers. And you might note that we can get a lot of medical care here in our country, but there are some 190 some other countries in the world where our soldiers go, and sometimes they get hurt, and sometimes they're subject to privation and sleeplessness, and we're here to provide the support to those soldiers in those tough phases. We're very, very well led by Lieutenant General Dingle, Major General Crossland, who's going to go and be the DHA director, I guess, in 60 days. But these are wonderful people who have been great support and lended great support to the Army Small Business Program, real believers in it. I took this job in 2015 and we were about 40%. I'm pleased to say this last year we came in around 66%. So nearly 2 out of every 3 Army Medical Command dollars went to small businesses. And real proud of that for the Army Medical Command. It was a team effort for sure that did it. It wasn't me. It was a lot of people working together and cooperating to try to make sure that our soldiers and their families get the best medical care, best environment, best ideas about how we can eliminate harmful behaviors and ensure that they have a great place to live and work. There's an old saw that says that we recruit the soldiers, but we retain their families. And that's real important to us as well. The soldiers at the center of everything we do, their health and their wellness and their medical care. That's what we do. This past year, we had our third year over $1 billion and set command records in WOSB and SDB span. Very proud of that. I have a team of 4 out of all of the small business professionals in the Army. 4 of them are dedicated to medical, dedicated, focused on only that. And I think that's entirely appropriate. And the people who you have supporting that mission are some of the very best. I'm very, very proud of them. Thank you.
And last and least, least in number of years, least in the agency's birth. We celebrated our 4th birthday about a few weeks ago at Army Futures Command Headquarters. But first I want to say again, hello and welcome to my esteemed colleagues here up on the platform, Ms. Bueller, James, and all you small businesses. Welcome to this Small Business Associate Directors panel. On behalf of General Rainey and the Army Futures Command, I thank you for being small businesses, and thank you for supporting small businesses if you're here representing those small businesses. It's you all in these seats that are talking to us, that are going to hear from us and ask questions to us, that really drive our nation's economy, keep our national defense up and overmatched to our competitors, and we're really looking forward to this dialogue. A little bit about what we do, right? The Army Futures Command, we are headquartered in Austin, Texas. Anybody from Austin in the group here? All right, so we can have a front door conversation over there next time, but then please feel free to continue to ask questions here as well. Secretary Wormuth had mentioned about the Army Futures Command, and here's her quote. She says, AFC was established to accelerate Army modernization, to drive experimentation, prototyping, concept development, and requirements for generation for the Army of the future. And so with that, AFC is the engine of Army modernization. So what do? We do several things, but our 4 core functions have been consistent since we stood up in 2018, and they haven't changed. It's to describe the future operational environment, develop and deliver concepts and capability requirements, future force design and force development, and support the delivery of modernization solutions. AFC is also the responsible agent for operating the operation of Army research laboratories and centers. Now with that, I say all that in difference as well to my colleagues here on the stage, is we're also not a purchasing command, but we do spend money, right? And we do write requirements, and we do develop these, and we do have a seat at the small business dialogue, or a seat for small businesses to have dialogues at the Commanding General's table when we make assessment decisions. So there are when we want to talk about early and often, and with small business engagement and interaction, so that's what we're doing in the Small Business Office at Army Futures Command. So I'm looking forward to this panel discussion, and I'll yield the time back to Ms. Calicut.
Thank you all. So I'm going to ask each of the panel members to answer the following question. What advice do you have for small businesses looking to do business with your command? Doesn't matter.
You're the one with the notes. He's so prepared. He's gonna be my mentor, he doesn't know it.
All right, so these following recommendations can be utilized across all of our commands. So my advice when doing business with AMC, first you got to determine the product or service you wish to sell to us. You should know what you're selling. You're the small business. You should have that background. Know what you're trying to sell to us. This is dealing with market strategies, customer specific needs. These are the things you should already know. 2, make sure you're registered in SAM. Else can you get paid by the government if you're not registered in SAM. So make sure that you're registered in SAM. Make sure that your NAICS codes, all of your information is kept up to date on a frequent basis. Know which division of the Army would buy your product or service. So as I stated in my intro, AMC has 10 major subordinate commands and 6 contracting centers. So each one of our major subordinate commands buys different things. So make sure that you want to do business with AMC. If you're dealing with major weapon systems, that's coming out of our AMCOM, Lifecycle Management Command, ACC, RSA. Tank parts, that's TACOM. So whatever your background is, you got to know which one of AMC's major subordinate commands are actually buying your product. Market your capabilities and materials. So we always encourage you to always have a capabilities statement handy. So whenever you meet with any of our small business professionals or one of my colleagues, you have that ready accessible for us to have. Be knowledgeable of the customer. Make sure you do your homework before meeting with any of the government agencies. So with meeting, if you have opportunity to meet with me, I usually do my capability briefings the first and the third Wednesdays of the month. Typically, they don't go past 30 minutes. There's 5 things that I ask you to brief during that because these are the 5 things that I need to make sure that I'm able to brief to my requiring offices as well as my senior leadership. So 1, what do you do? What do you do? Everybody, you gotta make sure that you're feeding that to us. 2, what do you do best versus what your competitors do? The third thing is, what do you do that's aligned to the Army's priorities of people readiness and modernization and AMC? As you know, our top priorities change on a consistent basis, so you have to make sure that what you're doing is aligned and synchronized to what AMC and the Army is doing. Number 4, who are you currently doing work with now? Do you have work that you're doing on a federal basis, local, state, so forth? Procurement history is vital and very important. And then 5 is your elevator speech. What do you want me to remember about your company? If I'm able to get you in front of our requiring activities or our top 6 senior leadership, they only have 30 seconds to a minute, so you got to be able to leave them with a lasting impression. So those are some of the things that I would highly recommend as advice on how to do business with AMC.
I'm just think when you're looking at it from the core, just a couple things. So number one, check out our website, our headquarters website, because we have put a ton of resources on there to help prepare you. So kind of like Thaddeus talked through, there is a guide on there that tells you exactly what to research and what you should know when you go into a meeting with us. It's gonna literally prepare you to meet with the district. So make sure you check stuff like that out. We also have an enterprise forecast. All of us have it. Twice a year we update it. So that's gonna help you decide where should you start to market to us. So for the core, all of our districts cover a geographical region, and that might cover more than just the area they're in. And so one thing I would say is, you know, when you're trying to align, okay, do you offer what we need to buy? Also, where do you do that? You know, and don't try to take on the whole Corps of Engineers at one time. You know, start in an area where it makes sense that you geographically work, and then build your way out from there with where your capabilities align. But just one thing to really walk away from with the Corps is that you're gonna hear me say subcontracting and prime contracts through this whole time, because we do IDIQs all day long. So you might have just missed out on this IDIQ for the next 5 years if you're looking for a prime slot. That doesn't mean there's not subcontracting opportunities. I think you heard, we did, not last year, but the year before, $15 billion in small business subcontracting. So, you know, I think that's a lot. Don't shy away from getting that experience, and then when the next IDIQ comes around, you have relevant, recent experience that's gonna be directly attainable. So I just think when you're looking to work with us, utilize those free resources. You guys just heard SBA talk to you, and then you heard Erica from that last panel say exactly how she broke into the market. That is like the best way. You are using all the resources available, you're using us as your sounding board, so then when you get in front of leadership, man, you already got it down. So use us as your sounding board across all.
Ditto to what both my colleagues have just said as well. No, but for real, one of the biggest things out there when you're selling to the government is to know why you're selling. Don't go to Liz and sell her a tank, for example. She's not gonna buy it. You know, same goes for like NGB. Don't come to us, sell us. A lot of our bigger systems that NGB uses at the field offices, they come from our parent commands of either Big Army or Big Air. So we're not the direct buyer of the plane, the tank, the military vehicle. We may be a user, we may have contributed input into the design and reliability and how it's going to be utilized, but we're not the buyer. So know your customer when you're buying those items, when you're selling those items to us. And also understand what you're getting at. You know, pay attention to the forecast. We do have a forecast. Pay attention to command industry events. That way you get a feel for the leadership and everything else. If you do get a chance to speak to leadership, make sure you go in there and know what you're talking about. You know, take a look at what kind of planning guidance they may issue, what kind of guidance they may have for where they see themselves in the next 4 or 5 years. So, you know, pay attention to what those things do. I know all of you are in here right now. Actually, my boss, the 3-star, is actually speaking at 1500, I believe it is. You know, and that is also, you know, when they speak at conferences, pay attention to what they say, because even though it's not going to give you an exact requirement, it will give you a gist of where the org is trying to go. And that's a big deal, especially when you get into the senior leadership avenues and everything. So, for example, one of the big things the National Guard's been involved in is bring your own device, so that they can incorporate DoD stuff onto your personal cell versus your work cell, which is a big deal because it can save us a lot in cell phone calls. Now, I believe Big Army is taking that and kind of running with it, where we're just kind of a pilot. But those are just some kind of examples. So always know your customer and do your research.
Great. I'm going to give you some advice that might be unique for Army Medical Command this year. And that is to say, in addition to checking SAM.gov and finding the public notices and synopsis and solicitation, you know, sort of broaden your net this year, because it's very possible that something that was purchased one place last year will be purchased someplace else this year. So a lot of you have these program things that'll send all your notices directly to you, and that's good. But don't be afraid to cast a wider net using the parlance of your own industry when searching, because you may find in this next year that a different activity, maybe it's DHA, maybe it's AMC, will be buying that thing that we've purchased. And sometimes we'll be purchasing that thing that they've purchased. So really cast a wide net on these opportunities this year to try to capture all that's out there. So really, really do look, and that seems like boring advice, but this is good advice for this next year. Bring capabilities to the table. So the worst meetings go something like this. Tell me what your company does and what it's best at, and then they come back and say, well, what do you need? And then we can do that. And maybe that's true, right? But it doesn't make for a good meeting. We want to know what you're best at. We want you to know what capabilities you have, what you've done well and succeeded at in the past, and that you can bring to the Army going forward. And those are good meetings when you have something specific that's going to help us for sure. This year is going to be interesting. Do call me, okay? If you say, I'm used to looking for this here, but it appears to be over there, and now I'm confused. Don't be confused, okay? And it's we're committed to a warm handoff. We're committed to offering a helping hand rather than a stopping hand. And some of you saw this morning during the question and answer period, we don't want a stopping hand. We want to help you get to the activity that buys the things that you need. So let me give you my phone number, and if you're involved in medical and you get confused throughout this fiscal year, give me a call. And my telephone number is 210-846-5866. And don't call me now, because it's in 5.
Start texting your questions to them.
After our meeting, do call me, because it's not our intention that you're confused. It's not our intention to confuse you, okay? Hear that, that's not part of our command ethos, that's not what our general wants, it's not what I want. So just give me a call if you start to wonder who's buying this and why are we buying that, because I'm only too happy to help. Yes, it's 210-846-5866. Thank you.
And I would add that I am not the least bit surprised about all the great advice and recommendations from the platform up here today. Even as new as I am to our Army, our small business program has a lot of the same functions throughout all of the Department of Defense. And with that, I would just like to add a couple more, just to hopefully enhance your business engagements with those that you're hoping to sell to. And just as just to move it along more with the what do you want us to do so that we can sell it to you, I would also say this. At the opening, your time is very precious to those that are in front of you, especially tomorrow with matchmaking. It's going to be a very fast-paced and time-driven environment. And that also goes the same when you're out in the field. And to do that, I would ask you, how does this sound when I present to you if I'm wanting to sell to you? Good afternoon, sir, ma'am. I'm an 8A service disabled veteran small business, women-owned, and HubZone. And I sell what you buy, right? After all of that, just think about it in turn. Just use your own words with what products and services you have to flipping that around and just reorganizing your structure. Hi, I sell what you need. And by the way, I'm an 8A service disabled veteran owned small business owned by women, and we're in a hub zone with a lot of set aside opportunities and that you can buy from us immediately. So there's a lot more to that, because we're here to buy from you, but we're also here to advocate for you. And when it's time for you to have that capabilities presentation in front of our buyers, we want to make sure that they're interested at second, number one. And so just something to keep in mind. And so I wouldn't want to add any more. I think it's great, and just thank you all.
Thanks. So I will add on to what all of them have said, is that when you're looking to do business with any of these agencies or our commands or any federal agencies, you do have to do your research to find out, how your capabilities align with their mission. You don't want to spend a lot of time like I think it was Cal said, trying to sell something to someone or get in with someone to talk to them, and they're not buying what you're selling. So, be very strategic about who you choose to talk to, and just go directly to those people that are procuring what, you're trying to sell. At this time, I'm gonna mix in some questions that I asked, but also give you guys an opportunity to ask specific questions if you have them, to the panel. So if you have specific questions in mind right now that you would like to ask the panel, if you can go to the mics, then, we'll let them answer some questions from the audience. Yes?
Good afternoon, Marie Grimmer with Grimmer Technology and Operations. Thank you all so much for being here, really appreciate it. First question is for Army Medical, and I'm kind of surprised to hear that Army Medical is still functioning. I thought basically, DHA had kind of taken over everything, so that is actually wonderful news. And I was wondering specifically, are you still letting IT and cyber-related contracts, or has that all been kind of consumed at the DHA level?
Sure. So back to as far as 2013, the DHA took over that IT spend, and for good reason. Okay, people say, oh, they took this, they took that. This is not an us-them situation. It's all us. It's all we. And so someone said, why does the Army have a system, and the Navy have a system, and the Air Force have a system? Why don't we just have one system? And that made a lot of sense to a lot of people, and so we did that. Right? And so DHA handles that portion of the IT health investment, and has for some time. So that's not new. What is going to be new is their handling of the direction and administration of the MTFs that exist in this country. And that part's significant. What will be a significant change for us will be the medical research consolidating at DHA, and that's a significant portion of our spend. And it may find its way out in different ways, because the things that the Army needed to research could be brought together with the things that the Navy's researching and the Air Force. And DHA might have, and probably will have, great ideas about how that research can benefit sailors, soldiers, Marines, and airmen. And so that's going to be a good thing. Okay? But it's going to be a little bit confusing initially, because that has been us, and it will be them. It will be DHA. But those aren't, how to say it, there's no DHA academy for an 18-year-old or 19-year-old to go to, right? So all of these officers and leaders and administrators will come from the Army, Navy, Air Force, and so those people will lead and administer those MTFs in significant ways, but they will come from the services. And so what do we get from DHA? We hope to get consistency, right? We hope to gain a consolidation of a lot of these functions in a way that's going to help our soldiers, right? But if I were to look at the portion of the spend, I would say that DHA operates primarily domestically. Okay, our soldiers go everywhere that they're told to go. They do it with bravery and with courage and with needs that they have on the battlefield. And that expeditionary piece and all the other parts of the world is important. It's important to us. It's important to Army leaders. And it's important to the moms and dads who have to say, yes, that's a good organization. I know you'll be well cared for there. And that's something that we take real seriously. So I share that we've been around for a long time, Army Medical Command. And in my, I don't see any sign that we won't be here going forward, as long as there are conflicts and soldiers, wars, and people who need to go and be brave and win them. We'll still need to provide care to them. So thank you for the question.
As an Army vet, that is a really good thing to hear, that our medical leadership is still in Army hands. I do understand consolidation, and in the IT world, it does make a lot of sense. Your answer is kind of a good lead into my next question, which is, and not only for you, but for everybody on the panel, I was wondering, are there certain vehicles that your commands use? One of the things that we just recently responded to was an Army Medical Research requirement, IT requirement that came out on 80 stars. So that would be my question for each of you is, vehicles that you use to get a hold of either smalls or larges. Thanks.
Thanks, Marie. Would you like me to go first, if that's okay? DHA has put in place an MQS vehicle that we've been great users of. Q Services, which is falls under the product service code for it's Q and then the 3 numeric digits after it. But these are important people who go and work the machines and work at the MTS. And we've been big buyers under that vehicle. 80 Stars 3 now has been a great vehicle for so many people. And they run that out of Kansas City, and they've always done a very good job. The labor categories are there and are clear. They have labor category descriptions, fixed rates, and for me, I've always admired that vehicle because it's helped so many 8A participants, and it's very easy to use for the contracting. The contracting officers love it. But I regret because as an IT focus, right, we don't get to use it very much. But I would encourage people to look at that 8A Stars vehicle as one that we've made good use of across the federal government, and I'm pleased to hear that you're on it. Are you experiencing positive, experiencing success with it?
Definitely, yes.
Thanks.
Anyone else have anything to add about any specific? So I think this next question will get to what she's asked, and then I'll get you. So the next question is, does your command have any initiatives in place to increase opportunities for small business? So we'll start on with who that is. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. All right, so, good question, with the initiatives to increase small business opportunities, right?
Yes.
All right, so, of course, each fiscal year, we do 4 advanced planning briefings to industries. We have 2 in March, 1 in April, and 1 in July, and then the other one in August. So the one that's in March, is the MIC, it's our Mission and Installation Contracting Command, as well as AMCOM and Team RSA. That's one of our biggest APBIs that we host. Alongside AUSA, we have that in March too as well. So we usually try to have our APBI finish halfway in the week, and then AUSA picks up right after that. So you can stay and experience both events.
So does everyone out there know what an APBI is? Thank you.
I'm sorry, okay.
So, can you tell them what
Yes, ma'am.
APBI is?
So with the advanced planning briefings to industry, these types of events are where we get our program managers, other types of senior leadership, and they come and brief upcoming requirements and specific to what may be set aside on small business, what will be going to 8A, and so forth. So these are the type of events that I highly encourage that you attend, because you're getting to hear firsthand what's coming down the pipeline. We make sure that when our APBIs are put in place and when our program managers are coming to speak with the small businesses, that they are given realistic requirements that are coming, not the to be determined, we don't know what's going, realistic requirements, so you know and you can plan accordingly what's coming up. With our forecast, which has been talked about, a good forecast, 18 to 24 months. Those are the more realistic forecasts that we really know what's coming down. It usually takes, anywhere between 6 to 9 months to really strategize on what the requirement's going to be. So we need that lead time before we actually put the requirement out on the street. So that's what I hope I answered that. And then I'll just give you, one more. So I'm very excited to tell you about this initiative, which is our video capability briefings. So when COVID hit, we had to rethink, how we engage with small businesses and industry. We weren't doing any more one-on-one, face-to-face meetings, so we still had to be able to posture ourselves with the program, as well as ensuring that we had small businesses that were capable and able to meet mission readiness. So we started doing video capability briefings. So we have 12 so far in-house since we've started this. You don't have to go out and spend a whole lot of money to do one. They normally try to tell you to keep them no longer than 3 minutes. You can just kind of look at it as going on Shark Tank. You know, you only have so long to pitch your product to them, and then they'll decide whether they want to invest in you or not. So that's kind of how we see that. If you have any other questions about the video capability briefings, kind of more what we're looking for when you submit them to us, just email me or give me a call, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Thaddeus.
So from the core perspective, kind of to hit on the outreach front similar to Thaddeus. So you will see industry events happen where we're doing outreach at a district level, which think of that like a field office level all year long. Usually a lot of them start to ramp up in February, and then they'll go through like the May timeframe. However, the one event where I have never worked at a command that brings this many people, we do participate in the annual SAME Small Business Conference. And this year, we are projected to bring 250 to 300 core employees. Those are senior leaders. Those are the district commanders. That is our highest leadership, all of our command leadership team. Those are gonna be the program managers, contracting officers, all of our small business professionals in one spot. So that kind of just shows you that the dedication that our leadership has and the value that they see in that. And some things we're doing that General Spellman loves, this is like his favorite part of the whole event, or things like this, is we're doing a listening session where we want to hear from small businesses. If you're working with us and things are going great, what are those best practices we can share with other small businesses? If you are struggling to move from one district to another or even break in, we want to hear your experience as well. So we can kind of take all that feedback and see how can we build that into future. Some of those things that we're thinking of building in is going to be from the headquarters level. Some more strategic outreach engagements where you will be hearing from us. We'll either be providing kind of insight on what's going on at the core or some training. So expect to see that from an initiative standpoint. When you are looking for vehicles, I kind of said it in the beginning, but at the core, we have a very unique mission, which means we are not using a lot of GSA vehicles. We're using a lot of our own IDIQs. They really, really, really like multiple award. So you're going to be in there with you and your besties. In some cases, you will see single awards, but most of them are multiple awards. So things that we're trying to do, so as you're trying to put vehicles in place to cover unforeseen areas, because you know, not only are we trying to forecast the requirements we know about, we are trying to forecast requirements that people haven't even come to us with. That, you know, a hurricane comes and now all of a sudden we have a requirement we didn't have before. So we're trying to either put vehicles in place or have strategic solutions, like when the wildfires happen. We ended up using 8A sole sourcing for all of those undefinitized contract actions to be able to use SDVs to help engage with our mission, as well as be able to get a solution in there quickly. But one other thing to look at, if you see full and open competition at the core, please do not let that dissuade you. So we keep some stats on it. It's somewhere in like the 40% realm that small businesses are winning in full and open competition. And so we're typically including reserves. I have not yet seen a full and open competition come across my desk that does not have a reserve in it if it could. So definitely make sure that you don't shy away from those with us. As well as I think some other things when we look at it, I know that you hear this everywhere, but respond to market research for us to help us increase the opportunities for you. Because there are some instances where we might be looking at like a $2 billion program, and we will end up breaking out by location and by type of work or size of a project, like an 8A pool, a hub zone pool. We will break all of that work out if you tell us you are interested in parts of it. So if you want to see increased opportunities, just help give us the information and we'll do our best to make that happen for you.
Excuse me. Sorry, what was that conference that you mentioned?
the SAME Small Business Conference. It's gonna be 2 through 4 November in Nashville, Tennessee.
So I think it's posted on our social media platforms, so if you go to our social media platform, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, we have them posted there.
Thank you. Society of American Military Engineers, if you need the acronym, and then they have local chapters in most of your states. If you need help there. Anyway, so for National Guard Bureau, some of our initiatives, we are getting more involved with our own prospective alumni association. August is the acronym. So they do have an annual event, and they've had that the past 2 years with COVID going on. Unfortunately, they didn't really have as much of an industry presence. They do plan to have a greater industry presence, I believe, for fiscal '23, which the plan will be in Reno, if I understand correctly. So, me in Nevada, we can gamble as well. But anyway, we are looking at being more involved with them. They do an annual industry day in DC, that's in December, and we are looking at also doing a joint staff level industry day. I believe our contracts acquisition division is looking at doing that sometime in second quarter, so they are trying to get better connection with industry. One of the biggest things we've noticed that we're trying to get under control is a lot of our contracts this fiscal year got offloaded to GSA due to staffing concerns, so we are trying to take more stuff back in-house in some cases as the contract staff gets their staff built back up again. So you'll see some stuff there that will be bouncing back and forth between GSA executing and us executing depending on staff capacity to manage workload. So that's something to be aware of when you reach out, is some stuff does occasionally get offloaded in the National Guard. So that kind of links you to vehicles. So if it goes up to GSA, they're going to use their vehicles. If it stays in-house and Army and air-funded land, and they go on Army or an air vehicle depending on regulatory guidance, especially in the case of IT. Most Army funds will go to Army chest, but air funds will go to Air Force respective IT vehicles. And that's one of the things I do say that is unique for us. We do fall under the Army from Procurement Authority, but yet we do have air dollars, so sometimes it gets a little bit iffy sometimes when we're explaining the dollars and the contracts and regulations. We've got a lot of initiatives to educate the staff on how that's going to play out and everything else there as well. So a lot of stuff to try to just bring back that environment and also try to make sure there's a better awareness of small business across the National Guard. And just try to really get at that type of stuff there. And one big contract we're going to pay attention to that I think we're going to cover our industry day is COMSUMSIN, for acronym's sake. It's basically a disaster preparedness type contract. And I believe it's going to be the biggest contract the National Guard's ever done, from my understanding when I talked to the contracts team. It's just under $1 billion estimated IDIQ. But it's planned to be solicited in sometime fiscal '23. So it's a 8A competitive action for all the 8As out there.
There is, year to year, we have things that might be different. There's really no secret to what we do at Army Medical Command in the Office of Small Business Programs. We coordinate on acquisitions, right? We're going to read the documents that you send to us. We're going to advocate for increased small business opportunities as it relates to those acquisitions. And we're going to be your ambassador and advocate. We do that because the system requires it. It's mandated by law, and we're good at it. We like doing it. I heard somebody on the stage the other day use this term. I've never heard it before, but I like it. Workingest. These people who work at MedCom OSPP are some of the workingest people. Okay, they coordinate on thousands of acquisitions each year, and are good at it. And so things come across their desk, and this is not just moving on. Okay, we look at it, we evaluate it. We try to find out if small businesses can do it. This number that Liz talked about, number of phone open competitions won by small business, we look at that a lot. We call it our lean forward number. Because if too many times, right, they say it's phone open competition, there are just no small businesses out there. Okay, that's a preliminary assessment. Okay, our staff does a post-preliminary assessment. So when you get 7 small business responses, right? We're gonna call you next time, right? You're gonna hear from us. There's 7 who can do it, at least we got that many last time. So, why don't we set that aside? So that's what we do. One of the things that we can do is maintain a safe and welcoming business environment for small businesses. I hope it's easy to do business with us. We intend for the public to display the notices on sam.gov to be consistent. We expect them to show all of the statutorily required information that should be there. We owe it to you. It's required. We expect it to be there. I've heard complaints over the last 5 years that the notices aren't as good as they used to be. Okay, you hear that in a lot of fields. But we are trying to make sure that we give you the information that you're owed, that you can talk to people about what we do, that you have insight into what we're buying. These things are important. This year in particular, we have a no closed doors policy. So if you come to us and it's not something that's right for us, but it is something that's right for a different command, you're going to get a warm referral to another person, another small business professional in a different command, so that you are not, I called them, and you hear about these terrible stories. I called 9 people, and I got to you, and you know, it's not a great day for me when I'm the 10th person. Right? What can I do so that the 11th person is the last person to hear this pitch, right? And they can say, I know what that company does now. We do that too. I'm going to keep them in mind for future opportunities. And that's just terribly important to us. So we're going to focus on that. I mentioned the 5 R's. One thing we're not is reserved. We're going to advocate for small businesses, forcefully if we need to, and be outgoing. We're going to try to find out about your capabilities and how you can help the Army and help keep our soldiers well and vital. So please don't ever hesitate to send an email, call. We're here for you in every best sense. Okay, we're here for you. And please hear my heart.
All right, thanks, Pete. Yeah, those transactional phone calls are really discouraging, aren't they? You know, you have a transactional conversation. Well, you know, I'm really glad to hear, Pete, that there's connections there, and we're doing relationship building, and that's what we need to do, right? We're just a small group of small business professionals in this large DoD organization for an even larger cause. You know, some of the initiatives that we have going on with the Army Futures Command, I could say one thing about it, and Ms. Callaghan, this will probably delve into another future question too, but I'm just going to insert it here. I'd like to say one initiative that we're working on is we're breaking the proverbial glass. So how many of y'all have tried to visit your purchasing activity or go on base and just have to fill out a visitor's pass if you don't already have access to the base, and just been frustrated with the amount of time it takes to wait, maybe get an escort or wait for your escort to gather along some other things, go through a turnstile and just all that documentation. It gets really slow and it just bogs up your day when you can be doing a lot of other transactions as well to keep your business alive. Well, at Army Futures Command, we've got a place in downtown Austin where there isn't that requirement, right? My team at the Army, well, not my team, a co-director of mine over there, he's opened up the doors so that I can have a place to do business with all of you as well, right? And that's at the Army Applications Laboratory located in the Capitol Factory in downtown Austin, Texas. I see some head nods going on, right? So what does that mean? That means that it's just basically all you got to do is just find parking in the downtown area of Austin, which is sometimes difficult, but it's walkable from the parking garages, and it's reasonable to have some time just to spend over there. But what makes that place so good, or why is it even an initiative? We want to reduce the timeline to get businesses on contract, right? Whether it's having an opportunity to just give us a capability presentation, or even in-house what we have over there. I've got success stories that I can share in another session or another time. Is, you know, if you're a small business and you're dissuaded because you might not have the access to capital to get your product or get what you need to sell to us even better, there's networks and resources in-house at the Capital Factory. And I know I probably shouldn't be branding them, but it's the location, it's the building that we're located in that reduces that barrier for you all to get there. So I would say that's one of the initiatives that I really find very, very welcoming for small businesses, so that we can break that proverbial glass, reduce the regulations, and we can get to selling faster. So that's all I have for that one. Thank you.
Thanks. Sure.
So, thank you, Ms. Calvin. So, I do have an alibi, so there is another initiative, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention it, that we're currently working as well. So, I've hired 2 technical advisors, at AMC, so they have a strong background, working in the PM shops. So, they're level 3 certified in logistics, as well as program management. So what we're trying to do, I understand, you know, I hear the frustration. How do I get in front of those program managers? How do I get my product, how do I get to be able to sit in front of those requiring activities to pitch what my company does? I hear you. We're working a strategy right now where we want to get you in front of our program managers so they can hear the things that you're telling us. What better way for them to hear it from what they say, the horse's mouth versus me. So we're doing a trial and error with one now with Skyplates. It's going pretty well to date. We've actually got 3 program managers within our major subordinate commands that have agreed to listen to them on what they do. So more to follow on that, just to let you know that I do hear you, I do understand your frustration. One of the biggest things as I talk to senior leadership is making sure that we continue to have a robust industrial base. Sustaining the force. You know, it starts with small businesses. You guys have the greatest initiatives, the greatest expertise in the small things that we need for the Army. So I hear you, I understand, and just know that we are working an initiative to get you in front of those senior leaders in our program shops where those requirements are coming out. Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
No problem. So, we have a question from the floor, and I would ask the panel in their, to do their elevator response.
Good afternoon. My name is William Geller. I represent Warfighter Oil. We are a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business, manufacturer of lubricants, oils, greases, you name it, different slides, rolls, flies, we provide it. I'd like to echo the sentiments of my small business colleague and thank you all for taking the time to talk to us today. I can't tell you how important it is that we hear from you. Mr. Martin just led into a couple of my questions about increasing industrial base. I could also talk to the 7, 8, 9 calls. When you said that, I thought we were at a NAVC meeting. Because my experience with Mr. Martin, and it caught me off guard, actually the first time I called him. I called this number, Mr. Martin's number, and he actually picked up. And you know that pitch that where we're all talking about, you got 30 seconds? I basically was silent for 30 seconds. Because I had to say, is this the Mr. Martin? Yeah, this is Mr. Martin. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't really know what to say, but I finally got it out. So one of the things that I've heard everyone talking about is contracting, right? And long-term contracting. It might take a couple of years. You're looking at your forecast. We look at your forecast. Well, we're a small business, and to run a small business, you need revenue, and you need to win some of these contracts. Obviously, our company has been around, at least the manufacturers that we represent, have been around for 125 years. A lot of commercial experience, big players like Cummins, some other companies too, Caterpillar, I'm drawing a blank on that, sorry. They have our greases and lubricants in every drawing train that they put out. So we have all this commercial experience, but we don't have any military experience. So some of the roadblocks that we see are two things. One, that we really don't have any NSNs. You look at the mil specs, and we might be able to meet the mil spec, but we have to do the testing for the mil spec. So a lot of times we see, and actually I called Mr. Martin on this several months ago, we were working with TACOM, and they had a solicitation out there for some of the products that we could provide. We looked at it. The product was basically a 50-year-old lubricant that is outdated, but it was cage and part specific. So while the Army has splashed all over their websites, I think the Navy, we want to support small business, we want to increase our industrial base. We are a US-based manufacturer, and we see products that are being brought in from a German manufacturer, and we're saying, well, this is, incongruent with what we're trying to do here. So, one of the things that we see as a roadblock is this, at the procurement level, looking for a specific product, and we get it. If you're gonna put something in 50 Coast Guard cutters, you wanna know mobile's gonna work, right? But you have to give us a chance to play in that arena to prove that we can compete with those products, whether it's, in our case, a Fuchs. So the contracts, while we want to share and enter small business into this equation, the contracts and the solicitations are often not written that way, right? They limit me from coming in. And that was my experience with TACOM up in Detroit, who we talked to about this for some arsenal stuff. They just said, no, well, it's part specific, so we're not even gonna look at you, but I will forward your information to the buyer. Okay, who's the buyer? Can I contact that buyer? No, they'll contact you if they're interested. So that's where it stops. That's where some of the small business runs into problems like, well, we can't jump that shark, for a better way to put it, right? We're blocked from even competing on that contract even next time around. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. It's not only about these long-term contracts, it's about what's out there right now. We see solicitations every day that we know we have superior products at superior prices, and we're a US-based manufacturer in Philadelphia, service disabled, hub zone, you name it, we're there, right? So we meet the criteria. And again, the way the solicitation is written, it's like, and there's justification for it too. We see the justification. We read the justification, we give it to our chemists, and we go, that's just not true. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that there's another part to this equation, that no matter what you guys do, educate us, get us in front of the right people, when it comes down to the actual solicitation and bidding process, we're limited from competing on that level because of that.
So I would ask that, so number one, like you said, you called Mr. Martin about the take-home requirement. If we don't know about those challenges that you're having, I mean, like all of my teammates have said here, we are advocates for small businesses. That's our job. But at the same time, if we don't hear about it when the action's going on, there's really nothing we can do for you, because the award's going to get made. And if they have a J&A, a justification and approval out there, and you just said that you know that it wasn't sufficient, then you have to send something in to say, hey, here's, we read this justification, however, we know that our product meets the requirement. Now, I can't tell you that they're gonna do anything different. However, if we don't know, and everyone here and the other small business professionals that we have across the Army, then if we know about it, we can engage to find out information. And so maybe there's some information missing, but we don't know that until we get all of your concerns, and then we forward them to the appropriate person. So they're not gonna give you perhaps the buyer's number. There's a lot of reasons for that.
Sure.
Because if they're talking to you, then they can't get things done. And they're pretty busy too.
Absolutely.
So that's what all of these people on this panel are for, and the people in our office. If you have those challenges, then send us an email and tell us what the challenge is, what the requirement is, if it was posted on SAM.gov. Give us all that information so that we can track down the requirement and we can find out the information regarding your concerns.
Yeah, it's not about one requirement or one product. It's really about about a broader how you address introducing new technologies into the system. That's really what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a single, because that's, one-offs, but the system has to change to allow us to at least get into the conversation. And, we know on some of these contracts that, they're looking for part specific. Okay, we get it. Just give us an opportunity to follow up with your group on that part specific.
Normally, there's an or equal to it. It has to be a legitimate or equal. Again, the
Yeah, I don't
only
wanna
way
go-
we can help is that we know what your challenges are, and then we can go to those individuals, to the program office or to the contracting office, so they can provide a proper response, whether it's a specific requirement or not. Then that's the only way that we can assist, is knowing what your challenge is at that time. Did you have a question in the back? I saw your hand up earlier. No? Yes?
Council, Mr. Martin mentioned about the API, and I know that we executed virtually. Are we gonna continue, or we're gonna do a hybrid with partial face-to-face?
So actually, the beginning of October, we actually started the planning phases of it. So we want to have it in person, but it just all depends on if COVID numbers spike during that time in the Huntsville area or wherever that location is, if we have to move it to either all virtual again, or a hybrid type where, we'll only have so many people that are allowed to be on site, and then everybody else has to do it virtual. To me, I feel in person, it's better, you get more bang for your buck. That way, I like the one-on-one, the face-to-face interaction versus through a computer screen. So hopefully, we're planning to have it in person, so hopefully things won't change, but more to follow.
All right, no problem. So I'd like for you to join me in giving a round of applause to the panel. I'd like to say that, so we have a QR code outside this door, and that QR code sends you to our website. So when you go to our website, their opportunities are on our website. So you can get information there on the website about any opportunities that they may have. Thanks again.
Yes. So we will start again tomorrow morning at 9 with the matchmaking. Understand a lot of the appointments are gone, but there's still opportunities for those that didn't get a chance to register. So 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
That was a stellar round. Yeah, that was
That concludes it. Networking. We will go out. Something sort of agency. Something down there. Invite. Go sit down in front of you. Have a meal or whatever. Hey, this is what I do. Pitch yourself.